Hi, hello. It says I'm live. This is interesting. I think I'm gonna have to kind of pay attention. So I'm going live from YouTube, right? Using my webcam. So here's the video preview, the video box. And like here is the live chat. And there's the something went wrong monkey in the chat. So the whole box is just gone. Which is fine. I'm sure you're like, oh my gosh, Patrick, hey, what are we doing tonight? And you see the OJL in the title, so you already got half of an idea. And I'm not too sure, but before I get started today, I want to do this. It may be a little loud, so for the headphones girlies, I don't know if you want to turn the volume down, um, or just like, you know, put a little distance between your ear hole and the projector, the audio projector. This video is not sponsored by either Circle or Bacardi. I'm sorry. I'm like so not serious about some things and so very serious about others. But yeah, here we go. One more time, we're gonna cleanse the space. And once more. I mean, I'm holding this bottle as if it does anything. Yeah. I don't know. I had that idea earlier, and I was amused, obviously. So, what are we doing today? What decks am I going to use? I don't know. Again, like I feel like there's a few ideas I have for different things that I want to do, or different things that I'm like intrigued by, right? But I don't know. Like I feel like as far as like general collective readings go, I can only get so deep because I feel like there's only a certain depth to which it's like more largely applicable. Now, I guess to be fair, I could just read one thing, or like I could just pull cards, try to dig as deep as I can, and if it doesn't resonate for people, it doesn't resonate for people. You know what I mean? Um, I feel like every now and then I do a self read. I've kind of been toying with that idea. I was going to use the SKT and be like, and it's so funny because like Rob from Rob's Tarot uploaded a video today, and I was thinking about it probably within the past few days. Not necessarily in a super like serious way, but just like I feel like there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm like, I'm not here for this, and I'm not here for that, and I'm not here for all this other stuff. So it's like, okay, so why are you here? You know what I mean? Type deal. But I don't know. Excuse me. I was also thinking of like, somebody pulls a spread and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to try it too. So that mirror spread I'll probably use at some point. I feel like I want to maybe, I don't know if spend time with it is necessarily the word, but I really want to make sure that like I understand it before I just like go in and make a mess of it. You know what I mean? And it kind of sort of turns into my own thing, which is liable to happen anyway. Um, yeah, I'm probably gonna timestamp when I start this time. But I feel like on the porch, I ended up like cutting the live short. Sometimes I feel like I just want to like do nothing. Then I'm like, I don't have to go live to do nothing, but it's like we're chilling together. You know what I mean? Anyway, Maybe I should bust out the alcohol. I need to finish this bottle. I've had it for too long. And I don't have to do it on camera, but since OJLs are a thing, I might as well. You know what I mean? I feel like I had an idea to do something else. I wish my Surface worked because I would love to. I've built what, nine or 10 spreads maybe, and I kind of want to get back into that. I feel like I could talk a little bit. This past, actually, I could tell you exactly. Well, no, I can't. I'll say this past maybe 2 or so months have been really interesting. I feel like this year has been interesting. I feel like life has been interesting in all that it has provided the space and time for me for. So, we're coming up on, it's actually been 2 years since January 9th. Oh my gosh. Is that like 2 years today? It might be. I think it was January 9th of 2024. I'm like, where's my phone? Let's see. Uh, I wish there was an easy. Oh, wait, here it is. It's right there. I was going to say, I wish there was an easier way to do this. Did I say January? I meant June. Yeah. Wow, exactly 2 years ago, June 9th. That's crazy. Since I've been in this in between space, and it's been really good for me. Um, but yeah, now we're starting to come out of it. I feel like there have been some decisions on my part. Life has wrapped around in a really interesting way. I've been telling a few more people about it. Um, and I guess like within even the context of like the past year, I feel like I was kind of telling Rob a little bit, but I'm like, I feel like I just, maybe it's not like all the way from like one side of the polarity all the way to the other. Maybe that's not necessarily it. Um, but definitely both things unexpected. One thing related to something that I like that was the dream for a while. Another thing that has never been the dream, but it doesn't feel like I'm supposed to not engage. And I guess it's interesting. I don't know how much I've talked about it. Um, but it puts me in an interesting sort of position. Not necessarily like morally, but kind of. And maybe it's because like I'm a first house moon, that when it comes to like things about me, and it's like fixed, right? Like I have a pretty decent grasp of who I am and where I kind of sort of stand on some things. But because my moon is in my first house and because it's fixed, because I'm me, right? I think sometimes it can be more difficult to come around to certain things than like others, especially things that like I feel like a strong opinion is a strong way to put it, but also not strong enough at the same time. Um, and I saw something on Instagram maybe yesterday, because every now and then the Pisces videos will pop up and they'll be like, to with Pisces, sometimes they're like halfway there. Like you can get so much love and so much of this and so much of that, but also at the same time, they're going to be like halfway there. And I feel like I've kind of been in this state for this past 2 years of both like sort of introspecting, reflecting, growing, showing up, but at the same time, like kind of being in the moment, living life and doing different things. So, like, semi present, not like a full blown hermit type, you know, but like a part of me, I feel like, is always somewhere else. Anyway, um, and I guess it's been interesting for the kind of presence that I want to hold within myself. In terms of like just accepting, I don't know if accepting myself more fully is the way to put it, but I guess kinda. And so everything kind of, there's a lot of stuff that started to conspire at around the same time. And then synchronicities have been synchronicitying, and I'm like, whoa, oh, okay, that explains a lot. But anyway, apparently this is gonna be about me, so why not stay on the theme? Excuse me, is that what I'm gonna do today? Let's see. Today we're running uh, HFYTFN, right? Okay. Am I gonna remember that? Sure. Cool. Okay. Hey Google, flip a coin, please. I'm not hearing Google. Is my volume muted? Hello. Oh yeah, send it. Hello. Oh, it was muted. It's heads. Gemini is AI and can make. Did you see that? Gemini is AI and can make mistakes. That is crazy. Maybe Gemini's been overhearing me talk about how AI's can hallucinate. Because I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I've asked Gemini to flip a coin, but I guess I asked for a reason. And that's something I was kind of thinking about maybe last night because I feel like whenever I speak with a certain certainty or sternness about a thing for like too long, maybe it feels like I have to like clarify, right? And for some reason last night, and maybe it was because, and again, like I saw Rob's video today, I'm like, oh, permission, kind of. But last night, for some reason, I was thinking about how like AI is a tool. Maybe because there was something I wanted to do, and I feel like I'm working to finding my own comfort and stuff with it. You know what I mean? And it's a tool like anything else. Excuse me. So it can come with like, as long as we know how to use it and the intentions or whatever, anything can be used, right? I'm very much a proponent. Like I'll pull all kinds of cards. I think I tried to read those Scrabble Slam cards one time, right? So it's just another tool. I'm like, I don't know. Gemini's really cool. Um, but because I remembered the thing with the magician when the magician came out of the tarot apocalypse, and kind of I think that's what kind of sort of precipitated it. I saw somebody talking about Gnosticism yesterday, and some random video they were like, with religion and stuff, it's like this, and that's why I subscribe to Gnosticism. But I feel like because Gnosticism came out before, a la Gemini, right? when was that like when you just have like an intuitive knowing, like you're not educated and you're kind of doing it on your own, but since it's your like intuition and discernment and the divine telling you, like, is it really truly on your own? Because it is like, you know what I mean? Instead of it being your friend that's instructing you, it's your friend, hopefully. um and it's like it was the whole like, and that was just the connotation around Gnosticism. To me, I feel like it's as dogmatic as anything else, honestly. At this point, it's just a different belief system. It's almost like a different religion. You know what I mean? Um, and so maybe that took me back to the whole, because with the heavenly fire is water on earth thing, and I was like, if you go to a guru, if you go to someone else, if you go to Chat GPT with that question of like, how do you get fire for fire? It's not necessarily going to tell you. Like, it would be, I could see it being very likely to be misguided by something external because of how conditioned we are to certain things. And the limitation of AI is that it doesn't really think, it like aggregates, right? That's why I feel like for a lot of things, I can trust, or, and I apply the same discernment I use or would apply to like when I'm reading a book or even looking at the art of a card or whatever. I also, you know what I mean? My thinking doesn't go out the window. And I feel like anyone who has been watching me for some time knows that. I mean, that's pretty. I maintain and reserve the right to think for myself, right? Regardless of anything. Um, and I don't just buy things wholesale. Anyway, and so I thought back on that, and then of course it was kind of like a not a dig to anything or anyone, because we all do the best we can, and a tool is a tool. Um, and maybe that's, I think I kind of had that thought too. Maybe after I saw Rob's video though, where I didn't feel like a hypocrite. I didn't feel hypocritical. It was more so, it's like a, because again, it was like to say that when I'm usually so pro like anyone, it's like the divine can use anything and everything to get any message to anyone. It more so falls on our perceptiveness, intuition, discernment, and availability to the information or to the medium that it comes through. You know what I mean? And so to be so like almost in a way unorthodox, but then to be like nothing will help you for the energy, it makes sense. But I feel like for sort of who I am and how I operate in general and what like the general tone is, um, I don't know. I guess I wanted to more communicate sort of like the specific circumstances around it. I don't know. So, does that get me any closer to what we're doing? See, I wish I would have wrote it down. Sure. Ooh, girl. Sometimes I'm like, oof. I feel like that's another thing too. When you pull cards for yourself, especially on the internet or where people can see you, you got to be brave. I mean, I guess to pull cards in general. I'm trying to think. And then I have like so many dreams all the time. I'm a dreamer. Maybe we need one more. Maybe we don't. There we go. I can just flick it. I think Gino's outside. But also it is kind of late, so maybe I need to chill. I don't know. I feel like there were like a few different things that I wanted to do. Also, I have all my cards that I haven't rehomed. Now there's like a couple decks I wish I still had, and I'm not gonna like, girl, I am not. It's fine. I'm not gonna get them again because they were expensive. I mean, at least not now. I honestly feel that like I kind of want to downsize my collection, low key. But I don't know how I would do that. You know what I mean? And then at the same time, I'm like, I don't. Anyway, it's fine. Maybe we'll just sit here for a second. Wait for the camera to refocus. Just breathe and like be. You know what I mean? Excuse me. I was also gonna do that. See, my phone is good, but it's not the same. That's good enough. I was thinking about I haven't built a spread in a while. I mean, I kind of did recently, but wasn't that like a 0 card spread or something? I was like, okay. And I think too, maybe one of these days I'll go like a no cards, like I don't know, because you know what's actually really interesting? It's I did that self read a few months ago, and I talked about like when it came out in the self read, it was one of those like because I love cards as a medium, and because I desire to adhere to them so much. I feel like for me, I don't necessarily like to be all up in everything. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's personal enough, it's close enough, you can get a good sort of image and feel and vibe for a situation without necessarily like stepping into the pool of an energy, right? Like you can step into the pool and not necessarily go swimming in it or drown in it or whatever. I like as a buffer, it's a nice buffer. And it's so interesting because I feel like when that came out, when I did that self read, there was that almost question of like, not like, am I holding myself back? Or it was almost like, partially, am I holding myself back? Partially, are there things that I'm going to miss? Partially, is it time for me to slash are there situations in which that buffer and that distance is kind of a hindrance? And after that, like a day or two, maybe even the same day, maybe the next day, um, that's when like that's when that sort of like 180, the other polarity, the thing that I never really considered, like the thing that I actively didn't consider, kind of, it's not that I actively, it's just like it was so far off my radar that I never would have thought that an opportunity would come to me. You know what I mean? And then it was like there, and then I'm like, it doesn't feel right for me to not be present with this. It doesn't feel right for me to not consider this. It was after that, and I was like, whoa. And then, some other stuff, of course. Anyway. Let's get this shot. Why not? Let's get this shot. This shot. Why not? Let's get this shot. Let's get this shot. Why not? 2 cups? No, we only need 1. We only need 1. Shout out to Reem. For no particular reason besides she's amazing. I don't know. She just crossed my mind. I feel like I've never been like a huge YouTuber, you know what I mean? I feel like that's even wild to say. But like I feel like I've never been, I don't know if prominent is the word. I don't I feel like there's a new vanguard sort of coming up, and I always like there's the intrigue, and then there's almost like a little bit of pride and other stuff like wow, you know what I mean? Curiosity and hope and all kinds of other stuff when a new wave of people start at least crossing my algorithm. And I feel like there's quite a few of them now that are popping up that like their oldest video was like 2 or 3 months ago, right? And it's just like, whoa, you know what I mean? It's kind of fun. I like it. Um, I don't know. Who knows? Okay, I'm gonna sip this. Ooh, just the fumes. We can start with the place. Okay. Excuse me. I don't think I think I should have just like took all of that at the same time. You know what I mean? Instead of like pausing mid drink, I should have took it in one gulp rather than breaking it down into two. Anyway. Oh, look, now we're focused. Cool. Just waiting on the shot this whole time. Mm, yeah, but I was it the chalk that I went on? No, because I don't think I actually went live on that walk. No, I didn't. I didn't because I got picked up and I think I went to Duncan after. Also, like the staff at the local Duncan has changed. The people that I've been like getting used to and that like I've been loving supporting as they support my habit, um, they're gone. And I'm just like, I was already like wanting to kind of sort of not get it as frequently as I do. Anyway, I feel like I was going to talk about that too. That's fine. Maybe I'll use the archeo archetypes. Let me just pull them. Ooh, the whole thing almost like fell out. Excuse me. I kind of want to use these. I could use the Pride Tarot. Ugh. Since it is Pride Month. Oops. Who was that? That takes me back. Oh goodness. Mercury's about to retrograde. I think that's what the astrologers are saying. I'm pretty sure Mercury is about to retrograde. I was like, that was a deep cut, and I have not thought about that person in a minute. Um, it's fine. Okay. I guess we could just like get into it, right? So I have the Places Oracle, the Archeo Archetypes, the Mystical Shaman Oracle. I feel like for some reason I wanted to use, yeah, the. I'm trying to think of the cards in the Wild Unknown Alchemy. And I'm almost surprised that there isn't anything there. I feel like another thing that's come up recently. I mean, first it came out sort of sarcastically, question mark, with the mythical creatures oracle cards. And it was the dragon, right? And the difference between the Eastern dragon and like the medieval dragon, right? And also, I've been watching more, a few. I've been seeing a few like Asian drama type shows, and there's a lot of like cultivating immortality, right? And I know Benabel just released a video that I love Benabel Wynn. She's like one of my faves. Honestly, love her. um, and she mentioned it too, and it was just I was like, it's so interesting that like on one side of this whatever, it's like cultivating immortality and almost and the different I guess there are different paths that people would take in that cultivation. And then on the other side or on the flip side, you have like alchemy, which is marketed as like turning lead into gold, right? And so and I guess I was watching Full Metal Alchemist. And it was just like, it was interesting how on one side it's like, lead into gold. On the other, it is cultivating immortality. Now, you could say that lead into gold is kind of a metaphor for that. In fact, in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, they kind of sort of make that connection, which I guess is interesting in and of itself. Um, that immortality and gold, the golden man is the immortal type. What am I doing? Should I just go for it? Do I want to place? I kind of wanted to use a deck that I haven't had access to, but I don't know which one I would use. I could look in the box and that would make it. I kind of want to go to, I guess I will, I'll just grab it. Give me a moment. Well, apparently, whoa. 1 second. Something's happening tomorrow. I think. Oh, snap. Hold up. There may be. Sorry. This is the 17th. This is the 10th. This is what's happening. 11 to 6. Whoa. Whoa. Hold up. Ooh. Okay, I guess I'm sign me it. What time is this? 11 to 6. Okay, that's fine. I was like, I was like, something's happening. The 9th and the 10th. Okay. What deck was I? I mean, I do have the tea leaves, and I got these one cards that are not scary, but there's just so much not great news. I'm like, oh, girl, I don't need a whole deck about, tragedy and misery. Life is enough. It can be. You know, in general, not necessarily personally. What's down here? I'm pretty sure there has to be something under here, right? There's no way this is. Oh, there's nothing. Okay, cool. Love a bit of nothing. What was I looking for though? I do kind of want to use these, but not necessarily today. This is what I was looking for, right? No. No, I wasn't looking for that either. I'm looking for the Dreams of Gaia. No, that's the Radiance and Dracon. Okay, give me a moment. Apparently, we gotta get in here. It should have been right here. We should have got trouble. With a capital T and that rhymes with P and that stands for pool. Y'all remember when he was manufacturing trouble? Like, let them kids live. Them kids ain't hurting nobody. The Mystical Dream Tarot. It's been a little minute. Oh, it's right here. Okay. I was like, I know I should be in the right neighborhood. All right. If you are, for whatever reason, just joining me, something's going on with my live chat. It's got the little something went wrong. You're not connected to the internet, monkey. Just in the chat box. Everything else is supposedly working. Yeah. And, you know, it's pretty standard over here. Do a little bit of rambling, stumble upon something to do. I don't know why I'm sipping it today. Usually I just... Are my cheeks a little rosy? Am I a little flushed? No. I think I was technically a theater child. And I say child because by the time I made it to middle school, I was done. I don't know why I'm, fun fact about me, I guess, is that I was in a few productions back in my elementary school days, and there was always one scene that I was supposed to be in that I wasn't in. It's just like, sorry, I forgot. Now, to be fair, some of those I didn't have any lines. So if I didn't have any lines, then it was like, which is kind of, I feel like it's kind of weird to me. I mean, that was a long time ago, so I don't know how I would remember. But I feel like I don't remember just like being in a scene where I didn't have any lines. So like in all the rehearsals and everything. But maybe I was. Well, I got distracted. And I don't have the ADHD. I tried. I was like, I think I got ADHD. And my mom was like, you don't have ADHD. And my grandma was like, you don't have ADHD. And then the what is it? It's not DSLR because that's a camera. The diagnostic manual, whatever. It was like, you don't have ADHD. I was like, okay, well, my Mercury's just in Pisces and my 12th house retrograde. Ooh, a little face down mystery. Love it. That was the Dreams of Gaia tarot. Now I want to get a. I don't know. We'll see. Let's look at a place. The art gallery with the ship. I've been seeing a lot of like cruise content. And I think maybe last year. Actually, maybe before that. That was a few summers ago. Was that summer 2020? I want to say it was summer of. Maybe it was summer of 21 because I started working in August of 21. So it was probably May of 21. I was in London, and my friend's mom was also in London, and she had mentioned like cruises, and she was like, "Yeah, you just like eat and sleep and like do whatever." I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I've kind of been thinking about it. I feel like I'm mostly over my fear of boats. I'm not afraid of boats anymore. I don't know how I would necessarily feel about like open water, but Lake Michigan is a pretty big lake. Or was that Superior? It may have been Superior. I think it was Superior. And so like you go out on the lake and like all you see is water. So I'm like, if I can handle that, I should be okay on like open water. Anyway, I used to like, you can only watch so many ghost or so many ship themed horror movies. Titanic, Ghost Ship. It's like every time someone's on a boat in a movie, bad things happen. And I think for me, I don't have control issues as much as I have like no control issues. And it's not that I necessarily have to be in control of things. It's just like I don't like being in like situations where I don't have an out. Right? That's why I'm not the biggest fan of roller coasters because if I decide I don't want to be on the ride anymore in the middle of the ride, I can't just get up and you know and step out of the roller coaster. Um, and so I feel like that's the thing kind of sort of about open water. It's like once you're in that situation, you're in it. There's no like, if you go out somewhere and you don't like it, you can always go home type. Just like having that option, I guess. Anyway, this isn't, apparently it is about me today. And this is an OJL, so I feel like whenever they turn out like this, I always feel less obligated to do something that's not, me, because I'm like, well, I know not everyone's down with the whole consumption of alcohol thing. Alcohol is a tool. It depends on how you use it. Now I kind of do want, maybe not. Maybe I should do like a dealer's choice every now and then. Because I feel like there are certain things that I want to do because I'm like interested or intrigued. And again, it'll be like, I don't know how this will necessarily translate for like a general collective, whatever. Also, at the same time, I feel like I kind of like toe the line between like, uh, I don't want to say trickstery. It feels appropriate, but not, um, also kind of misleading, I guess. Because I feel like there are some things where it's like, if I'm like, hey, like, here's a thing, proceed with caution, blah, 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 and someone like decides to do it anyway, you know, I said proceed with caution, or I said, like, take it as it resonates. If someone took something that wasn't for them, that's not my responsibility. or if they took it in a way that it wasn't meant. It's not necessarily like that's a personal failing, not my responsibility. Um, but maybe it's like the consequences and the repercussions for it are theirs, not mine. I feel like I toe the line between that and like I need to be very sort of like explicit or need to throw up all of the disclaimers and whatever, because this could be one of those things that's like very easy to sort of like pick up in a way that doesn't necessarily, but then it's like, who am I to say how something's going to resonate for somebody else? It's kind of one of those, like, I feel like every now and then it is kind of like I just do whatever is required. And if there is someone who's opportunistic, and it's like, if there's a bear trap, like a mouse trap, you put out a piece of cheese, and it's like, well, if someone wasn't whatever, then they wouldn't have got caught in the trap of it. I feel like I'm not doing a great job of explaining it, but I am kind of sort of like that. Also, as that, like, typically soft spoken, super chill, fairly kind person. And then, like, I've had people every now and then who find the other side or sides of me. And it's like, you wouldn't have gotten that side of me if you didn't deserve it. You tried to take advantage of me because you thought that I would let you take advantage of me, or you thought that I was someone that was easy to take advantage of. So the fact that this is where we are now, I don't feel bad. You happen to get the right one today, but you shouldn't treat anybody like this. You know what I mean? And so it's not that I feel like validated or vindicated or whatever, but I'm not going to feel guilty. No, no. If you try to steal like my lunch and it's so spicy it puts you in the hospital, that's your fault for stealing my lunch. It's not my fault for making my lunch the way that I like it. And you're not going to make me feel bad because you ended up in the hospital for doing something that you weren't supposed to do in the first place. Hello? You're not, no. You might get an apology out of somebody else, but not me. Because again, like, what were you doing stealing my lunch in the first place? I didn't tell you to do that. Oh, it smelled so good. It looked so good. Okay, and it's not yours. See, something that's mine. Maybe I see. This is why I shouldn't drink on live. Can I blame it on the alcohol? Can I blame it on my choice to drink the alcohol? Sorry. Anyway, I don't know, because I feel like sometimes the with that, it's also like I feel like sometimes, and I've talked to a few people about it, and it sounds like to them it's not as bad as it is to me. Because sometimes I feel like I have to go on a whole like tangent, or I have to step away to like put out a bunch of disclaimers, or to be like, hey, if this is you, or if that's you, or blah 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 is you, then this may not resonate, because this doesn't read like an energy that people who take advantage of people would even like, whatever. Or this doesn't read like something, like it reads like what it reads like, and it doesn't read like something that you can will into being or force into being. And if you try, it's one of those, like, it's so not aligned that it'd just be like a waste of time. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not great at math, maybe engineering isn't your route to whatever. You know what I mean? But like, many things require many different things. So find the thing that actually works for you that's going to bring you success. You know what I mean? And so I feel like sometimes to like almost step out of the energy just to be like, to start like rolling my eyes and my neck and giving blank looks to the camera. You know, and I feel like I've gone through a few iterations of this throughout my tenure, if that's the word I want to use. Um, anyway, ooh, the canyon sculpted with patience, natural masterpiece at the bottom of the deck. Interesting. Oh. Garden in the airport. Courtroom just flipped over. Truth meets law. Justice arena. Okay, I mean, I guess we'll go for it, right? What was the bottom of the deck even? It was garden. I think garden was at the cut. The bottom of the deck. I don't remember. It's the gym now. Fitness center, build that muscle. Telling the truth is a muscle, or it has been, right? It's like, ooh. And that, you know, it's part of my journey and evolution, especially as I've been live or going live for the past few years, especially since like 2020. I feel like, okay, all right. I feel like this is like, it's a little deep cut. It's a little behind the scenes. I wouldn't necessarily say behind the scenes. I feel like behind the scenes is a bit of a stretch. Are these all? Okay, I guess I didn't get a final card from this deck last time. Oh yeah, I did. It's right there. It's the Trickster. LOL, the Trickster was the final card. But when I looked through the cards, I didn't see any card backs. Or I didn't notice. I did see it. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of one of those, like, I don't know. I don't necessarily feel obligated all the time, right? Like, if there is, I don't know. It's just like people will take it how they take it, and we're gonna do what we're gonna do. And a lot of times, it doesn't matter. Sometimes I feel like that's a weird thing, and I don't know. I feel like sometimes, and maybe it's because I've been through things in life that I've needed to go through. I feel like every now and then there's an experience that it feels like it's for us to go through. Like one of those character building moments, one of those life changing opportunities, but a life changing opportunity, not necessarily in a like, you're going to be making more money than you've ever made. You're going to be in a whole new tax bracket, or you're going to have renown like you've never had before. Kind of sort of like life changing in a way, like maybe one of the most challenging things we've ever been through, or one of the most stressful times that we've ever been through. But there's something that we either get on the other side of it, or that we get in going through it, that is important in the overarching like arc of that phase of our lives. You know what I mean? And so even if it does feel a little, it's, I feel like the necessity of it kind of outweighs it too. You know, it's not always one thing. Excuse me. All right. We got one face down, Dreams of Gaia card. The place is the courtroom. Now I'm getting an Archeo archetype. If I get two, that's fine. We'll see. I would love. We're doing flips or falls apparently today. So, oh, okay. Well, that flipped, and half the deck almost tried to fall. Two cards flipped. Is this the Heraith? No, the Siren. Ooh, the Siren and the Magician. Interesting. Bottom of the deck is the Lion. L. I feel like I should know Lion. It's not just Leo or Leon. Is it Leo? Is it Leo? Like Leo? It's is it? I know Shishi, but I don't think Shishi. I know Missouri goes Shishi so. It's lion something. Interesting. The Siren and the Magician. It feels like the ball up here in the Siren is something that should be in this Magician card. Let's see. Let's try. Oh, girl, it gets hot. It gets a little HOT. There you go. Everything is face up besides that Dreams of Gaia card. And then the Mystical Shaman. I think I was going to use the Mystical Shaman because the Magic the Gathering card booster packs have been giving us like clerics and wizards and sorcerers. And just as that, like, you know, I don't know. Ooh, the Vision Quest and the Time Master. If there was one card from I was gonna say if there's one card from the Mystical Shaman Oracle cards that like summarizes me, what would the card be? And the card that like immediately came out is the Standstill. And I'm like, wow, it's not my fault I have a Taurus moon and rising. You're calling me lazy? I can't believe it. Time Mastered and found its way back to the bottom of the deck. Another card. Ooh, two cards came out face down. What are we doing with this? I don't know. I don't think this is what I'm doing, but this is what's here. So we have the Courtroom, Truth Meets Law, Justice Arena, the Siren, the Magician, and the Standstill as a card that represents me. Actually, I buy it. Because when I, like earlier, when I was like, I saw that reel that was like a Pisces is always halfway there, or like half there, half somewhere else. I feel like this Standstill is like pretty accurate to that. Where I'm not like always self reflecting and introspecting, but it's never far. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm just that kind of person, though. I feel like I've always been that kind of person. And I feel like it started with me just kind of sort of like learning to reconcile who and how I am versus like how the world seems to operate / how people seem to kind of sort of be. You know what I mean? I feel like that's not, especially in within the framework of what I'm doing within the on the platform that I'm doing it on. I feel like that's a sentiment that's not too far of a stretch for most folks who would, come across this. Um, but yeah, I think beyond that, there's just like almost always a part of me that's just like there at the precipice. You know what I mean? Which is why I've said it in videos in the past. It's fine. So is this like the other half of me? But it's like three cards. So am I broken into thirds? Sure. So the third that revealed itself is the Standstill. The first card is the Hunter, number 27. Now the Hunter is interesting. I feel like I feel like the Hunter wouldn't surprise a lot of folks, but I feel like it is surprising to me. What's this third card? Luminous Warrior, number 32. So the Hunter, the Luminous Warrior, the Standstill, I get it. I was already feeling that like third card as sort of a blend between the two and not necessarily into clean cut thirds. I feel like wow. I actually feel like this is an interesting trio of cards. And I shouldn't. I'm a weirdo. Like I am. Um, I feel like this is my thing. I've been on the YouTubes for a few years now. So my thing is I've seen a whole bunch of stuff from all, I've dabbled. I feel like dabbled is a little extreme. There are things that have come across my algorithm at different points in time. And so as they've come across my algorithm, some of those things, I'll watch a video or two. I'm like, okay. Like for all of the promotion of sovereignty, for all of the self empowerment, for all of the like, we all house pieces of the divine and we can manifest whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's never made sense for me to co sign certain things. Like, it's never made sense for me to be empowered by something and then to like turn around and use that empowerment to call forward an experience that I'm not interested in having. You know what I mean? And so when, the topic of will came up, and then after, I was like, when I was thinking about looking for Anwilla, Will for Resistance, but then also like Eigeshomer, it's kind of sort of off of that, especially with this courtroom here. I'm like, okay, I see it. With the courtroom, especially with the Hunter, the Standstill, the Luminous Warrior, I'm like, okay, whatever. It's just that like there are some things I'm not gonna co-sign. There are certain things like beyond not co-signing, I'm going to actively use any little bit of anything that I have to refute certain like it. I'm like, no. If you want to have an experience, you can have that experience. But what you're not gonna do is convince me to buy into it. And even in the, like, I'm not going to fearmonger, we just need to be prepared. I'm like, no, no, hello, no, because I don't. It's like with anything else, right? With that whole like, it doesn't matter how enticing my lunch is to your palate. My lunch is mine, and I made it for me. So the fact that you have some kind of reaction because of something that you shouldn't have taken in the first place, that's not my problem, and I'm not gonna feel bad. And depending on the day, I'm not gonna care. Type energy. And there's a few things that have come across my feed specifically within the past few years where I'm like, no. I'm just like, absolutely not. And to my knowledge, yeah. So in that courtroom, I am very much so absolutely not. I understand that with certain choices and actions, there are consequences and repercussions. I can certainly understand the whatever of the whatever, but no, absolutely not. And I feel like, honestly, those have been some of the easiest opportunities, some of the easiest times to really just like step into a super firm borderline knowing slash exercising of any kind of personal power. Again, what does it ultimately matter in the grand scheme of things? I don't know. But I know that over here, when they say greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world, the he in me is real strong. Because that absolutely not. Don't be ridiculous. And again, I don't, and I feel like that's kind of sort of another thing that I kind of clocked at one point in time, where I'm just like, again, and it's funny, I mentioned how when it was just the standstill, like there were so many things I feel like growing up that I just like kind of sort of had to make sense out of. Like, this is the way the world works, or this is the way that people are. It may not make sense, but you know, we as people don't necessarily always make sense. And it's just a people thing. And I've had to accept that. And in turn, there are certain things that that I don't, that I refuse to. And I'm not saying that no one has whatever, but it hasn't gotten so bad. It hasn't gotten as bad as folks have been saying it would get. Because I am 1000% on team. It's not going to happen. What an interest. So, what's this card over here? The Seven of Swords, the Seven of Air. What an interesting, because again, the card that came out was the courtroom. And then, you know, sometimes when you're sworn in court, you put your hand on the good book, your book of choosing. I mean, it's usually a Bible, you know what I mean? Yeah, so and I feel like I've been hearing some rumblings, and again, there's a part of me, I don't know, it's like there's a part of me that acknowledges a lot, but that still refuses certain things. And there's a part of me that's like, oh, you know. And I think too, maybe it's just like it's a certain class of things where it's easiest to just like be kind to not, I feel like again, almost always capable of seeing multiple of nearly anything. But I think that there are times where even if I can see multiple sides of something, it's almost like it doesn't matter, because it's not necessarily like something is like too extreme, but it's just like, I don't know. I feel like it's not. We do got one more deck. Sure, let's go in on these. How interesting. Would you like to elaborate? Not particularly. Like I said, I'm a weirdo. I'm a weirdo with a very big ego. And again, there are just like certain things that I And I guess it is kind of interesting because, especially coming off the back of, I feel like there are certain things that we kind of sort of need to experience as pivotal moments in our development or as critical moments in us becoming who we are or reaching a point within ourselves. You know what I mean? And so I feel like every now and then, not too frequently, so once in a blue moon, literally maybe on the blue moon. No, I'm just kidding. Um, it is kind of sort of like as extreme and ridiculous and unnecessary as some things may be, would we be collectively, generally, overall better off for having gone through them? And I feel like it's such an interesting dichotomy to kind of sort of exist in. Um, but again, at the same time, if I'm going to have a say in my experience, then my say is no. And it doesn't matter how much of a say I don't have. You know what I mean? It's like, and so I don't know. To me, it's kind of sort of one of those interesting. I don't know. There's a few things I've been kind of sort of thinking about. Like sometimes if I'm pulling cards and I'm reading, and I'm intrigued if anyone else has like a similar sort of experience. Again, I can't even see the chat. If someone was here to say like, yeah, um, but it's almost like sometimes I feel like when I'm pulling cards or reading, I'm not even necessarily reading like a person or people. It's kind of like an energy. You know what I mean? Like the energy behind energies, where it's like you kind of sort of start to peep certain stuff, and you're like, absolutely not. No. Mm-mm. Like take it back to the drawing board, because you're gonna have to do something different. I'm sorry. I'm not even sorry. It's not going down this way. No. Mm-mm. Um, but again, it's like, I feel like sometimes you got to have a little bit of ego. You know what I mean? And not even necessarily in an egotistical way, just in a way of like almost not vigilante, because I feel like that's extreme. Just like if I'm to have any say, it's like even if I don't have a say, it will be noted that I do not agree to this. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if my voice matters or not. It doesn't matter if I'm heard or not. I'm going to go on the record. I'm going to go on the eternal record. So the witness that is within me is like, no, absolutely not. I don't think so. No. Mm-mm. Nah. And I feel like the moon, the ten of swords, and the prince of cups are all flipped over. I feel like these two cards. What an interesting trio. Yeah, it's just like yeah, no, it's a no for me. You know, cool. All right, and I feel like because the magician and the siren are here, we'll break it down in a little bit. Actually, we'll do one more, and then one more, and then I'll cut, and then I'll continue with the magician and the siren. If I read the magician and the siren another way, it can be very like, because again, it feels like this blue ball in the siren is supposed to be on the magician card. I mean, you can see the blue egg right there, right? And so I feel like just like there are times when I can be cognizant of the possibility that when it came time for me to learn to use my voice, you could say, and I held this perspective and it kind of blunted a lot of sharpness. If it's the season for me to learn to come into my voice or to use my voice or whatever, and if I'm the type of person that as long as like I don't have to speak, I don't have to be heard, I don't have to talk just to hear myself talk, and I don't necessarily feel the need to always communicate what I'm thinking, especially if I by and large agree with what's being said, right? Like if someone else is saying it, why do I also have to say it, right? And so because of that, when it came time when my North Node Sagittarius really got activated, well, kind of sort of when a lot of the fire in my chart got activated, because it's a grand trine between my Venus, Chiron, and South North Node, Venus, Chiron, and North Node. Um, because I am who I am, if my lesson is to use my voice, it almost means that I kind of have to sort of exist in a vacuum, right? I don't need to be another voice in an echo chamber. And so I kind of am going to come across different opinions or beliefs or whatever in order for me to just like put mine out there, right? And so even as I've like reached out to a few people, I was like, and it didn't go anywhere, and I'm glad it didn't because, girl, um, but even in the midst of everything, that was something that I didn't have to be aware of it, but I was aware of it, right? And so I feel like in that line too, there are a few things that I can do that I don't necessarily volunteer to do. Not necessarily because I'm not confident in my ability, not always because I'm not confident in my ability to do something. Sometimes just because I don't necessarily like enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like I'm the type of person like I can step up and be a leader when I need to be, but I'm not necessarily, or I wasn't in the past necessarily trying to be the leader of anything. You know what I mean? But I also like for things to be done like right. You know what I mean? Um, in a way. And so again, like there are times when I'll step up or I'll develop certain skills because I have to, not necessarily because I wanted to. And so to see the siren and the magician with the courtroom and like the hunter, all of this sort of in the context of again, like I feel like even that attitude in and of itself is could be something that I might not have necessarily come into had things been different. Because again, to me, and I'm not coming for anybody, to me back then at the time, it's like if I spend 30 to 50 minutes of your video being hyped up as this sovereign so and so who has the power to do whatever, why then in the next 5 to 10 minutes, and you're not fear mongering part of the video, I consign myself to go along with this other thing? Like you just spent the upper majority of this video empowering me, and now we're talking about these situations that like nobody wants to be in, that's not necessary. It's like no. If I really am who you say I am, I'm not gonna do that. Right? That's like someone who's like, oh, you're so like beautiful, you're so gorgeous, blah 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 blah, like I'd love to take you out sometime. And you're like, oh, actually, like I'm fairly busy right now and I don't really have time. And they're like, oh well, I didn't want to go out with you anyway because like you're ugly. And it's like, okay, well, you just spent 20 minutes gassing me up before you felt I rejected you. So what's the truth? Hello? Or for the people that's like, oh, like that'll try to like make somebody feel like they're worthless, but that person is like literally maintaining their lifestyle and everything. It's like, without me, you don't have a home, you don't have food. Like, without me, you don't have anything. How am I the worthless one in this situation? Like, it's almost like that dichotomy, those two things, like, literally, like, if you're telling me this, why would I buy into that? Like, it doesn't make sense. But again, I feel like maybe if I wasn't exposed to it as much as I was, I wouldn't have developed that sense within myself. You know what I mean? And I feel like maybe that's just the way to look at like challenge in general, in just like what it inspires within us when we refuse to give in, give up, whatever. Now I kind of want to go looking before and after that 10 of wands. Bottom of the deck is death. Yeah, it was necessary for that transformation. Oh, look, there's that Four Swords. Yeah, with and it's at the bottom of the deck now. With the message of that Four of Swords, those were some of the things led that led me to smell the pear blossoms every now and then. You know what I mean? Okay. Now we're gonna clean flip or clean fall. I mean, everything else has been falling, so. And she fell too. Oh, hold up. Is that a flip? Was that a flip? I've looked through these cards a few times and I made sure everything was face down. We got the Nine of Wands. Bottom of the deck is the Fool, the Whirling Dervish. Is it Sufi? Is it Sufi? It might be. This is one of them things I don't know nothing about. Excuse me. It is Sufi. The Mevlevi Sufi Sama ceremony. At the beginning it is the end, at the end it is the beginning. The highest point is the lowest, but from the lowest the highest might be attained. This is the path of the holy fool, the madman filled with the ecstasy of union. What wisdom is concealed in his insane words? What love hidden in the chaos of his whirling cloth and mind? Truly God comes to us as the madman crying aloud in the streets, as the unutterable truth that spills from the tongue and ululations and wild cries for its ineffability. You see me dance, you see the wildness in my step, and only the whites of my eyes and my drunkenness. But you do not see the union in my heart, not the indescribable peace in my soul. For I am not my heart, nor the indescribable peace. No, sorry. I just read that line again. For I am not I. I is the trap that will hold you in this grave world. Knowing yourself is knowing only your tomb. Join my dance, let your head grow dizzy from the maddening spinning. Drink deeply of the wine of the beloved. Inhale the opiate of the divine breath that is. That is all, and you shall be as the sacred fool. Cool. Do you know what I am going to look for now, though? Because it mentioned it. It's a card in this deck that I have on the table. It's in the Beloved. I'm trying to remember. We actually saw the Beloved in the. Interesting. Not that coming out in the OJL. Interesting. The beloved is in between the curse and the wind. It's interesting that it's the curse here because I was, as I was saying, me noticing that if I'm in a time of learning to use my voice, and if I only speak in situations to present perspectives that I feel aren't being presented, then I'm kind of sort of boxing myself into that situation, at least in the beginning, right? And so the things that I'd never say, the things that, for whatever reason, the things that I wasn't saying, and partially the things that I'd never say. Like, I feel like there are still some things that, there are some things I haven't said because I feel like I paint a vivid enough picture that I don't have to. Those things can be imperfect, but I guess you can't always assume, right? Sorry. Oh, I felt my eyes about to roll so hard. I just had to close them and breathe. Um, I forget what I was even saying. Talking about the things that, yeah, I feel like it's not necessary. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. Maybe this is something to revisit. 14, 5, they're both fives. But then we have another 9, 27. The hunter is a 9. The wind, 63. Wind is also speech. It's air. Air can be, communication. So interesting. They do say that wine loosens the lips. And I'm blaming it on the alcohol tonight. The Prince of Cups is here again. So the Nine of Wands came out, followed by the Devil and the Prince of Cups, which is kind of sort of this devil angel imagery. But we saw the Prince of Cups. It was the third card. I don't remember what was with it, though. See that? I don't know. Let's read the book. I feel like it kind of sort of is that, like, I don't know if irritation is the imagined cult of the witches Sabbath. What are the howlings on the wind? LOL. You see that? What are the howlings on the wind? And then the card of the wind came out. All right, I'll read it. What are the howlings on the wind? What are the cries at night from the bedchamber? What are the strange figures beckoning in the darkness, calling you to the woods? Only you, my little one, only your deep hidden secrets and desires. And the siren is here. Only your inner demons and fears made manifest. There is no devil here, only you. No evil except that which you make. It has been said that I speak only in lies, but the more terrifying thing is that I speak only in truth. I show what is uncivilized, yet exists within all civilized beings. I show what you want to ignore and disguise. I show you the animal within. I am that force of nature that calls you back to the wild and forces you to face that ugly beast of you, that you might become its master and not its prey. I demand that you dance for me and make a part with me, make a pact with me, not because I desire your subservience, but because you must learn what needs to be committed in order to fully realize yourself. To know but one part of your being is the greatest danger. Do not discount even the most repulsive, but learn how vital it is for your soul. If you do not, then your fears will control your perceptions and give themselves to the harm of others. Your desires will become unnatural by virtue of being against the order of yourself, and those parts of you that you will not accept will become the fuel of blame upon others. You see, this is the law of the strong. Interesting, it mentions like truth and law because that courtroom came out. And I feel like, again, when it comes to like, when I choose to speak out, it's pretty much that, especially here lately, especially the things that the curse in the wind. Maybe the curse in the wind is like, speak it. Just say it, girl. You say everything else. Why not say this too? And I'm like, hey, Google, flip a coin, please. Hello. Flip a coin. What? Why are you doing this half listening thing lately? Hey, Google, flip a coin.
Tails.
Tails. Tails means no. So, see, but did it say that thing where AI? Oh, it went away. I'm AI. I can be wrong. It is. It's just like, instead of saying the thing I will say, that's one of the things that I have been vocal about, where I feel like we can be so encouraged to put so much blame on so many external things. But it's almost like when you look at what we do and the choices that we make and the things that we subscribe to, it's like there's a disconnect. You know what I mean? And it's like maybe when we're in it and we're not aware of the disconnect, but it's just like, and I feel like that's the thing with devil energy, kind of sort of in general. Because I feel like at the same time, it's like from the inside, it can be nearly invisible and so like sinister. But from the outside, it's so like obvious and apparent and everything. You know what I mean? And I feel like in general, I feel like when it comes to other people, we can see how the choices that they continue to make or the things that they don't face or whatever, like we can see how other people kind of sort of put themselves in the same situations over and over. But when it's us, we don't necessarily see it. And I don't know. You could also, it can come down to a lot of things. Um, but I feel like one of the reasons why I also really chose to start speaking is because it's like I feel like I don't even have words necessarily. Um, it's just like, oh, I feel I feel emotion. um, it's just like I feel like it's my actions speak for themselves. How about that? No, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna cop out. I'm not gonna take the easy way out. It's like I feel like we're at a place now, largely collectively, where we're having conversations that we didn't necessarily used to have. We're becoming more aware of our own mental health and well-being, and also we're becoming more and more aware of others in a way that lets us show up for one another in ways that we didn't necessarily in the past, or that we were just so like wrapped up in our own thing we didn't have the time, the space, or the capacity, by and large, to really sort of give credence, I want to say, to one another. um and so maybe it's because not only are there things that we're asking for more than we ever have, that we've been asking for, not only is there that growing capacity, but also maybe it's kind of sort of partially like we're making so much progress in the right direction in general that it would be a shame to not go further, to not go all the way. And I feel like I don't feel a personal responsibility to the world or to anyone that's not someone that I like care about. But at the same time, I generally like people. Oh no. I sorry. I don't know. It's like I kind of like I like people. I want the best for people, but I also don't feel that I owe anybody anything, especially in this world that is so quick to cast my life sort of aside. You know what I mean? And I feel like, yeah, it's just like I don't feel like I owe anybody anything. And so for me, it doesn't come from a space of like obligation. It doesn't come from some higher purpose or whatever. Um, you know, maybe if it did, I would be more, I don't know. I wouldn't be me, right? Like, I hear people talk about karmic contracts, and I would hate to be somebody that entered a karmic contract with me. I really would, unless we good people, unless we do right by each other. Because besides that, I don't necessarily too much. It's not that I don't believe, it's that I don't care. I feel like I've lived enough of my life that I'm not interested in being in places and spaces don't that aren't like sort of safe and conducive to whatever. You know what I mean? I've had my time of giving and overgiving and overgiving. And if I have to be the only person in a dynamic or in an environment that's going to care about my well being, then I will be that person that cares about my well being. Because I'm not going to sacrifice my well being for, no. If that same consideration isn't reciprocated, I don't know. You know, it's not me. I'm not one of you. It's just it ain't me. I don't vibe with that. I don't get down with that. I don't, I feel like there was a point in time where I did, and that was the time it taught me exactly what it needed to teach me. And part of me almost feels bad for people that I've met later in life, almost, where I'm just like, yeah, I'm not, no, I'm not doing this. So if you want to go and find somebody else to do this with, be my guest. But I'm not playing this out with you. I don't think so. And I feel like it's such an interesting flip on, like, I feel like I used to kind of sort of be quick to walk away from certain dynamics and relationships and friendships and whatever, out of like a kind of sort of like a toxic space. But now it's just like, I'm not going to be the only person. First of all, I'm not going to be the only person extending some kind of compassion or whatever. But I'm not going to be the only person that cares about me. You know what I mean? So, hello. Few pathways are straight and easy to tread. This is the Nine of Wands. The most ambitious of roads lead through fire and blood. I speak of the road of battle and struggle, of the tensing of muscle and flexing of sinew and flesh, of the lungs filled with heat and the heart pounding. Know that the pain is not unending, that the fight must flow like the ocean's tides, moon kissed and ever changing. Now it is deep water, overwhelming and drowning. Soon it will be drawn back into its swell. Then must you rest, for your blood flows free. Then must you gather your strength once more, remaining certain in the knowledge that your time of battle will come again, and you must meet it with fervor and fury. That's the nine. Is that kind of sort of what this is like turned into, evolved into? It has been near the top of my mind. Um, for whatever reason. Prince of Cups. This is Eros, god of new love, romance, and chaos, also known as Cupid. I guess this is the only one I'm showing. The poets painted me as a boy, for I am young, and each one of my loves, is new, unhindered by experience and burden. Yet I am also a man yearning for the other. My soul desires connection, as my body needs air and water. Without love, I am lost. For I am love at its most ideal, and the instigator of love. If my golden arrows did not fly true, then chaos would rule, and the universe would lose the harmony that holds it together. Yet they say that I am a lord of chaos. Mischievous they call me, and cruel. The truth is that only when you rail against love does. Wait. The truth is that only when you rail against love does it hold any terror. Oh, okay. I'm like reading that and trying to make sense of it. Oh, try that sentence one more time. Mischievous they call me, and cruel. The truth is that only when you rail against love does it hold any terror. But if you live as a lover, longing for beauty, desirous of the light of another soul, then you shall not be hurt. Join me in the tremulous love song. Soar with me from bliss to bliss. Let your soul be transformed through love. My breath is poetry, my words are honey and desire. My gaze is passion, and my footsteps are the seeking of love. I am the lover of the soul, and though I cause you to feel the pangs of love, know that I feel them also. I have been placed on a pedestal, and I have been demonized. Mortals in their fickle way have given me a dichotomy of perfection and flaw. This is true of love also, for love is as deep as the ocean, yet as tempestuous and catalytic as the winds. This dichotomy binds the universe together, and it is upon the web of love that continued existence hangs. For this I am both the oldest and the youngest of gods. Love is as old as time, yet each instant in which it is felt is born anew. Wow. What do I do with that? I guess I didn't read the Siren or the Magician, did I? I mean, I feel like it's not entirely necessary at this point. Mooncat, oh, well, we are right next to the Magician. Lion, hold up. There's our Magician. The magician is no mere illusionist teasing the eye with sleight of hand. He can teach you how to see into the structures and forms that shape the cosmos and become conscious of the thread that links all things. Nothing is in isolation. Everything is as it seems until you peel back the skin that coats your eyes and hoods your vision from the universe's miraculous luminosity. Miraculous luminosity with the luminous warrior away. QRST. We're looking for the siren. The siren is a femme fatale calling to you from the rocks, but if you pass beyond her jagged shoreline, she is far more. She provides you with the opportunity to examine your destructive desires, and if you permit her, she will teach you the art of directing your passions away from hedonism and towards a loving union. Wow, cool. I feel like I'm done. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like in general, and maybe that's I feel like because I am so reflective and introspective, once I started my journey TM, especially after the darkest night, once I was of that anything and everything I have to do, I will. Because I can't go back there. That is a one-way ticket to and so I feel like I have the gift of the perspective of sometimes seeing how and why certain things are necessary. And I feel like that in and of itself makes some things more tolerable, more bearable. You know what I mean? And I kind of want to look before and after the magician, but I don't know if I necessarily want to use a deck on the table. No, I could open up that box and just go for whatever, but I feel like that's a little chaotic. I could go for the wild unknown, but I feel like I just use the wild unknown. I can go for the Pride Tarot, but I don't think I want to use the Pride Tarot. Um, yeah, so I feel like I don't know. Um, and I feel like that kind of sort of is not the carrot on the stick for me. Um, and I feel like honestly, it's not a dichotomy that's difficult to navigate within myself. I feel like it sounds more maybe polarizing or difficult, or maybe it doesn't when I talk about it. Um, but I mean, honestly, internally, it's just like this isn't okay. You know what I mean? It's like you don't even have to like people to realize like how effed up of a situation some things are. You know what I mean? It's like I don't have to like cats, but that doesn't mean that I want them to be tortured. You know what I mean? Type energy. Like I love cats. But yeah, I could look before and after wind and the elemental oracle. Or I could use a deck that I already have. Because I only got one card from the Dreams of Gaia. You know what? How I want to know how important is it even? Well, I feel like so. I feel like mm, I could just let the cards tell me. I can ask Gemini. I'm gonna ask Gemini. Or not. Because I want to like how. I guess the question is like, I feel like there's a lot on the table. I feel like the angle of this is the whole like me coming into the power of my voice or me speaking. But I'm like, how important is it even really? You know what I mean? Like if I were to, I don't know, because I feel like I'm also a very big, like, and maybe it's because I've had experiences in my life, in my developmental years, like kindergarten through fifth grade. I've had experiences where, like, one exchange with a person has been so important to me, like, realizing certain things, right? Like, I remember I used to have anger issues when I was younger. And I remember one time this lady pulled me aside because I had like kind of blew up a little bit. And I was maybe in the fourth grade, maybe. Um, and she was just she just told me that if I don't tell people what I'm thinking, they're not gonna know what I'm thinking. Right. So she was like, if someone is like upsetting you or something, they're not gonna know unless you say something. And I feel like it was one of those things that like I knew on some level. But it was also just like completely sort of groundbreaking for me because I feel like in my mind they kind of like it's like they knew what they were doing. Right? Like if you know that I'm upset and you keep pushing my buttons, then like you know what I mean? But if they didn't know, then it's like it's this whole different situation. And again, that was one like 5 minute maybe conversation that some lady pulled me aside and had with me instead of just, putting me in timeout and letting me do whatever. She like pulled me aside and like that kind of sort of changed my life. And so I feel like in that vein, I don't, it's not a regret it. I can see, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Ooh, we got emotions at the cut with this six of air. Like from certain vantage points and perspectives, I can see it sort of not being completely worthless. But also I'm like, is it really that important? You know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things. But also I'm such a like the grand scheme of things is made of individual people. And if there's one person that has been hopefully positively impacted, then it's worth it. You know what I mean? Um, so, in that sense, I'm like, okay, well, but the cards can tell me that, right? Why? I mean, because for the siren, and I feel like for like the magician to be here and for the courtroom to be here, I'm like, okay. Like in my mind, the courtroom makes a lot of sense. And I guess like my experience with the courtroom has been an interesting one. Um, it's been very. I feel like the end of 2019, I was kind of sort of like, just like existing on Earth is like so hard. And it seems like it's a lot easier to get so much further being out of integrity and stuff like that. And it feels like there are so many more examples, maybe, of people who come into like wealth through taking advantage of certain power dynamics or whatever. Right? It's almost like more profitable to be a not great person or to get, again, to get like a lot further financially a lot quicker. And so I'm like, it's almost like the odds are stacked against us in a lot of ways. And I feel like that was a lot of the like end of 2019, Q 2020. And I'm just like, you know what? We had a good run. We really did. And if then, hey, can't say we didn't do it to ourselves, you know? Don't ask me where I am now. Okay. The card that came out is Body and Mind, which is the 11 of air. I think we've actually seen this card recently. Card at the bottom of the deck is Abundance. Excuse me. Um, what this gives an interesting image of. Image is a strong word. Um, it's almost very like you could say our body is made up of a significant portion of water. And Dr. Emoto, I assume it's a moto, which seems a little suspicious to me, but sometimes that's just the way things work out. That show that, like, when you say different things to water or whatever, the crystals take on a different shape. When you speak to your plants in like a loving way, because plants are also a significant portion of water, that like they grow better. And so it's almost like to house something within like the mind or to house something within the heart is like one thing, but just the act of like voicing it and vocalizing it sort of like causes the body to sort of like shape and mold itself in a way, right? As the vocal cords vibrate in a certain type of way to say certain things, and then as the ear picks it up. So it's like as we're hearing ourselves, like as we're receiving ourselves saying it, and as we're receiving, because like we can receive ourselves in like speaking it and in receiving it. And so it's like that also does something physiologically is a strong word. That also does something to the body in a way that just like thinking it or just feeling it wouldn't necessarily. Or maybe it's like thoughts and feelings shape whatever in the way that they do, but also the vibrations of both speaking and hearing it also play a part. Is that why I talk to myself out loud so much? Hey Google, flip a coin. Flip a coin. What? Why are you doing this to me now? Hey Google, flip a coin.
It's tails.
Ooh, tells us no. I don't trust Google today. Does it still say it? No, it doesn't say it anymore. See, it just says tails. Before it was like, oh, I'm AI. I could be wrong. See, this is why, like, sometimes it can be difficult to be objective with yourself. But I guess this is more so like, yeah. So, what else? What else? Maybe that actually goes back to what I was saying earlier, in a way, almost. Sometimes, maybe this is a wall that I'm almost hitting more and more these days, where it's like I'll have such a not necessarily specific line of thinking or line of questions, and then I'm like, what deck do I have that could like participate in this conversation with me? You know what I mean? Somebody be like, I don't think sometimes the questions themselves are the point, because then we get to think and reflect ourselves, right? That's why sometimes, not too often, but that's why sometimes, depending on the vibe, I'll turn the chat off, because I think there are times when we definitely help each other, but I think that there are also times when we need to tap into, tune into, key into what it is that we think and what it is that we feel. And sometimes when we're participating in a forum, we can be influenced by the people around us. Right. And it's not always bad, obviously. So that was. Wait, okay. Let's just keep going. Well, what this magician? This magic. What is this magic? Isn't that a song? Because every little thing you do is magic. That's literally all the words I know. Oh, okay. The sage. Do do do. The card said it, not me. Bottom of the deck is King of Earth. I feel like this is less than helpful. I was asking about this magician, right? And then just say the sage. Okay. OMG, Eve, if you see this later, look at the image. Anyway, there are like little sparklies around the fire. There's the wolf and the owl. Hold up. No. There is an element of fire in the. What was I even asking? I feel like it's time to end this video. We've been here long enough. I'm starting to sweat. Yeah, you can see it beating on my forehead. Yeah. It's not even summer yet. It's not even summer yet. I mean, I guess we're close enough. Cancer season is right around the corner, which means that the summer solstice is right around the corner, which means that, this month summer does technically begin. But still, you know what I mean? I need some context around this sage. So I'm going to go back to the tarot apocalypses. Interesting that the sage is number 7 because the 7 of air is on the table. I was just like, oh, haven't I seen 7? I was like, yeah, I did. Nope. Flip it over. Context for this sage. Oh, okay. Please. Not the Prince of Wands. With the bottom of the deck being the 9 of Cups. Oh, gosh. Not the Prince of Wands. The Prince of Wands in this deck is set. I mean, I'm a Pisces, okay? I feel like I'm whimsy coded, and you can't have whimsy without a fair bit of nefariousness. You can, actually. One moment, to poor favor. Okay. But he's also holding this wand. See, I wanted more context on the sage, right? The sage's wand is lit, and the Prince of Wands' wand is not. Set is chaos, and the Prince of Cups, Eros, talked about, you know. Did both of these talk about chaos, maybe? Is this some like see it, say it, sorted type energy? Hey Google, flip a coin. Flip a coin. Why are you doing this lately? Flip a coin, please. Hey Google, flip a coin.
Tails.
Tails. I already forgot the question because I had to ask so often. I don't know. Maybe I'll take it offline. Maybe there's a whole lot of like reasoning and stuff I'm doing in my mind. I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? I might just chill back here for a second. Maybe it's because the courtroom is here, right? in a way of like, even if it doesn't, it's almost something that is along the lines of like, it's not right for me to feel a certain type of way or to complain about a thing and to not voice it, right? Sometimes I read into the void too, you know, and it's like if it resonate, then it resonate. But when things get a little sharp, um, it ain't necessarily always directed at people. Ways. Because the Seven of Air is holding the book. Oh, oh, goodness. I ain't trying to bend these. I'm going to use the Gilded Reverie Lenormand. I want to see. Give me the deets on this book. I'm going to shuffle it a few times, and then we're going to look before and after the book. I don't know. I mean, because I guess, like, I feel like there are things that I've seen. There are things that I've noticed that have changed over the years. And I'm not going to say it's because I said anything. But see it, say it, sorted. How can it get sorted if I see it and I don't say it? You know what I mean? And maybe that's all that I need to know for me. Oh, you see that? If I keep shuffling that, that's going to flip over. It's the scythe. Why the scythe? When we had that death card. Okay. Separating the wheat from the chaff. No. Bottom of the deck is the mountain, the cross, and the sword. Looking before and after the book. I have to remind myself. Kagi is key. Ooh. He looking at her. You see this? They both scantily clad. They came out right next to each other. Ooh. Y'all will be the last to know. I'm not that funny. Where's this book? It's towards the top of the deck, which is interesting. 44 and 38. The book is in between expanded. Then we got the anchor in the tree. The bridge and the magnifying glass. So, yeah. And maybe that's it. And I don't have to dig into it any deeper. Maybe it's just that. There are things. See, but now I'm like, hey, Google, flip a coin. Flip a coin. Check your internet connection and try again. I think Google's getting quicker. I think Gemini is getting quicker on the whatever, so I don't have to give it the break to like activate. Hey, Google, flip a coin. That's how you talk to
Tails.
Tails. What was even the question? I'm fighting with Google so much I don't even remember the questions that I'm asking internally. Yeah, I don't remember. The magnifying glass and the bridge. Cool. I don't know. I mean, that's just motivation, right? A lot of what inspired me, I guess, or where I was in my life to have been. But I guess it's interesting because I think I'm in my Rahu Mahadasha. I'm pretty sure I'm in my Rahu Mahadasha. So in Vedic astrology, they break down chunks of years, and it's like each planet rules a different chunk. And then the big chunks are broken into sub chunks. And so I think it was like either 2023 to 2024 or 24 to 25. I was in the like K2 Antardasha of my Rahu Mahadasha. So it was like the South Node sub period of my North Node era. And I think actually 24 to 25 was Venus. I don't even know. It might be on this app. I think I deleted it because I like never use it. Yeah, I deleted it. It's not even on here anymore. And I don't think I don't think I can find it on Time Nomad. Mahadasha calculator. Mahadasha Antardasha. Yes. Y'all got a calculator? Yeah, enter birth details. Here we go. Because every little thing you do is magic. I mean, since this is an OJL and a self-read, come and go as thy please. Excuse me. I'm an AM baby. Can you believe it? Maybe that surprises no one. Okay, so yeah, my Rahu Mahadasha ends in 2030, which is when my driver's license expires. 2030. 4 years from now. Can I get the Antardasha? These are just Mahadashas. Here we go. For Rahu Mahadasha. Yep, it was K2 and then Venus. I'm in the Venus one now. This Venus one is so long. K2 was 2023 to 2024. Venus is 2024 to 2027. So until next year. So I got what, 11 months? Maybe 10 to 11 months. And then it'll be the sun in Tardasha. Okay. Anyway, don't ask me what it means. Don't ask me what it means. Here's Rahu. So if Rahu is favorable, one may gain. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I didn't even know that. The next Mahadasha is Jupiter. So, you know. Anyway, because my North Node is in Sagittarius. Yeah. All right. I already forgot what. I feel like Gemini's not very reliable tonight, which is fine. I don't necessarily need it to be. Cool. All right, let's get final cards, I guess. Even though this was a, I mean, I guess it's kind of something that I've kind of sort of been wanting to touch on in a way. Like, I feel like I've watched a video one time of someone explaining how we can give our power away, and then almost proceeded to ask for the viewers of that video to give their power away to that person. And I'm like, girl, like literally 5 minutes ago. Hello? You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, that's why I'm like, I just mind my business. I keep it moving, I keep it pushing, and I just. And I think that's the thing for me more than anything. Like, I'm not necessarily coming for anybody's beliefs or anything. It's just the disconnect, the dissonance, right? Of maybe something isn't what we think it is if it presents as this way. And that's not always the case. Um, right. Oh, that card is face down. Did I put these other cards back face down? Oh my. That doesn't look like it. I think it was just that one. Yep, I did. The magnifying glass and the bridge. Maybe that's the thing too. It's just like because the magnifying glass and the bridge, maybe it's like these are some like small things that in and of themselves may be more inconsequential, but they can really like build up and snowball into something bigger. And if we're not aware of it, then we might sort of, it's like it could balloon or snowball into something that by the time it's really noticeable, it's kind of too late. Right. And so again, it's like, oh, that's the question I had of like, and if I like maybe do a little too much. People said no. So maybe the answer is yes. No, I try to be, y'all know. Less judgmental and more. So, if you're really serious about losing weight, maybe you don't want to eat 20 donuts every 2 hours, especially if you're burning off all that energy that's putting into your body. Your body's going to store it as like fat. You know what I mean? Because that's just what happens. And I feel like, I don't know. I feel like they be like, the body stores it as fat because it's really, it's like efficient. Like you can store a lot of excess in it, right? You get more energy from burning fat than you do from burning like proteins and carbs. I'm pretty sure. But then I'm like, but I guess if you don't ever do anything, then the body will never need the fuel. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, well, why don't it just like use it? Why doesn't it ever burn it? It's like, well, if you don't use the fuel, then you just keep stockpiling. Anyway, put a 1 in the chat. I'm just kidding. I can't even see the chat. It's been something went wrong this whole time with a monkey holding a hammer, not even a wrench. I mean, I guess it's a monkey, so it doesn't necessarily matter too much. See, I don't even know if my clarifiers really clarified it the way that I needed to clarify, but I might rewatch this because then maybe it'll spark the idea of what certain questions were or what I was thinking when I was like, let me get a card for this. The Siren and the Magician. It's also like you can't help yourself. I'm like, oh, I really can't. I'm like, you know what? Ooh, the sunset. Let the sun rest. Nature's horizon glow. With that gem still at the cut. I don't know. I'm just glad. Like I said, it don't matter. Do it. Yep. All right. We got a smooth flip. We got the ship. Floating escapade, exploring horizons. Didn't we just see nature's horizon glow with sunset? Social media, digital networking, global interactions. So yeah, with the ship and social media, I feel like, um, this is social media in a way. I mean, it is. I feel like unarguably, especially for me, the person that's, well, yeah, and then the people that interact with the content. So yeah, um, see something, say something. See it, say it, sorted, right? And it's how we sort of move things along, right? Especially, I'm not in the business of thinking for people, but to provide maybe a different perspective or to give a little bit more context on certain ones, sure. All right, Archeo. I hope that bottle is gone. You know what? If it isn't, ooh, almost. We might as well finish it. I'm ready to be done. I don't even know if I'm gonna get another drink, TBH. I think I'm a wine girly. I don't think I drink enough to have bottles of like alcohol. You know what I mean? Like wine, I feel like I can drink it by the bottle. But like I am a tequila, bourbon whiskey, but I'm not drinking a whole bottle of tequila or bourbon whiskey in one sitting. And I don't necessarily like to just like have it sitting around. You know what I mean? Well. We're still in the Venus. If I think about life, it makes so much sense. Now, in tropical astrology, my Venus is in my 12th house. Okay, this was a bit of a mess. Look who's back. Back again. The magician is here now with the Heraith. The Heraith is what I thought. And if you look at it, it does kind of look like it could be related to the siren. The magician and the Heraith is such an interesting combination of cards after everything that we just did. Blame it on that. I used to love just like I'd take like a sip of a drink and I'd just start like, oh my gosh. I don't know. It was fun, you know? What's at the bottom of the deck? Grace. Grace is the bottom of the deck. The combination of the magician and the Heraith. Um, in context with everything, it brings to mind that when I was talking about the cards as a medium and like my attachment to the cards as a medium, as a buffer, because I like how I don't have to get all up in something, but it's not like dulling sensitivity, but sort of along the trail of like things that you don't necessarily capture at a remove or at a distance, right? And so with the magician and the siren, it's almost like there are things that maybe I can't help but speak to that reveal something deeper. When the Time Master, when the Time Master was at the bottom of the deck, Soul Retrieval was right under it. And it's almost something of like, which is interesting. I did this spread. I like, there are certain things that's just like wild low key. Um, I feel like I have been navigating the tricky terrain of not feeling an obligation to people in general and the world at large, and also like caring about people. And I feel like, in a sort of self defense mechanism, maybe, because of what I've learned to accept about people, maybe in particular, it's kind of like a maybe like I'm not going to get my hopes up type situation. I feel like I kind of ebb and flow, right? Sometimes I'm like really optimistic about where we're going to go by and large collectively, and then reality happens. And it's like, it's on me. It's on me for believing. You know, it's on me for thinking. Um, hey Google, flip a coin. Hey Google, flip a coin.
Heads.
Ooh, so the question was, and I was already prepared to like, you know, I don't know. Gemini ain't necessarily my friend tonight, but she said at the top, hey, I'm AI, I may get it wrong. And I'm like, I'm asking you to flip a coin. How are you gonna get it wrong? And it's like, okay, well, you're asking me to flip a coin with an intention. So I'm not just flipping a coin. I was like, okay, fine. The question was, have I become jaded? I feel like for the viewers at home, it maybe not. Maybe it's not a super obvious, like, yeah, girl. Maybe it's like, no, like, I don't know. And it's not a question. I don't have chat. So it's not a question for anybody else. None of these are questions for anyone else, especially tonight. I feel like that's maybe. Maybe it's also a thing of like, I feel like it's one thing to be of the mind that I don't feel an obligation to give everything for two and for a world that couldn't care less about me. You know what I mean? The world at large, or people at large, not individuals. But I almost wonder if that attitude doesn't limit or restrict or keep certain things almost like underdeveloped. And I feel like, can you see my eyes rolling? That's fine. But honestly, how this reads is it's like it pulls or calls forward something deeper. If not that whole, like, if you don't say anything, then it's not even necessarily like a people as in people thing. It could be an experience as in an experience thing, right? Like, how does the universe know if you don't say anything? Type, you know? Who was at the bottom of the deck? I feel like I already looked. It was Grace. Interesting. By and large, though, it feels like it calls to something almost remembered, but also forgotten. Interesting. Something for me to chew on, I guess. I don't know. I'm also so just like stubborn, you know. I don't know who's gonna get me, but oof, I tell you, they are a trooper. I mean, honestly, maybe not even necessarily. I feel like by and large, I'm fairly like chill and easy to get along with. It's only very like specific situations where I'm like, okay, really? You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm usually like low key. I feel like I'm easy to entertain or please or make happy. I'm a simple guy for the most part, you know. Just don't be a jerk. And I'm typically good. Don't be effing rude. Ain't that what she said? Okay. Four of Cups. If a cut with that devil card at the bottom of the deck. Queen of Cups with that devil card. Imagine. It is Queen of Cups at the bottom. It is not. I feel like I'm so quick. Maybe that's another thing. Maybe when I like while I've been learning to like be strong and use my voice and care about me and prove it. Um, maybe I could like soften a little bit. You know what I mean? Is that my North Node Sagittarius? I thought that Sagittarius Chiron Venus. And that trine is fairly tight. It ain't loose. Um, so hey. Interesting. I think I saw a card face in here. Excuse me. You know, I feel like there have been so many times where my number one fan is be like, oof, I'd hate to be your friend. I feel like some people would, and other people, like our friendship would just be like effortless and easy. I have a lot of, not like, yeah, I got a lot of friends. I have a lot of good friends. I have a lot of best friends, and our relationships are easy. I feel like, we're just good people, you know? Or it's like they're good people, so it's easy. I feel like where it starts to become a little bit more challenging is when there's like no consideration for, you know, others beyond. I mean, in addition to some other things. So the Tower came out and the Knight of Pentacles is here. What an interesting combination of cards. Because while the Tower is falling, the Nine of Pentacles is good. Nine of Pentacles is like, I'm gravy. And then the Tower's like coming down over here. Is that, oof, not my monkeys, not my circus, it ain't my business type energy? Bottom of the deck is Judgment. Hey, Google, flip a coin. Flip a coin. Flip the coin. Hey, Google, flip a coin, please.
Heads.
Ooh, heads. So again, I feel like I'm not necessarily clear either. I feel like because Judgment is here at the bottom of the deck, and because Judgment is a major arcana, maybe I'm asking the wrong. It's not necessarily asking the wrong question. Maybe I'm taking the wrong approach. And maybe it plays into those who have ears will hear, who have eyes to see will see. Maybe it also plays into that whole. It was like Odin, the title card, and the Ace of Swords, King of Swords, title card, Ace of Swords. And it was that energy of like, there are certain things that like certain people just won't see certain things, right? Like if you are a kind person, it would like there are some things that would never occur to you or cross your mind or that you would never even think of or consider, right? You wouldn't even see something as an opportunity to like screw somebody else over and get ahead, and vice versa for the people that likes to take advantage of other people, for the opportunist you could say. It's like they like when there's an opportunity for collaboration, they may not even sort of see it and or value it as much as competition. It's like, why did you go and try to sabotage something when you could have been an active contributor and you could have came out like even further ahead? And it's like, to some people, it doesn't even occur to them just because they're so competitive or whatever. Right. So I don't know. I feel like I'm like ready to use that mirror spread now. Again, I want to like make sure I kind of sort of get it and I don't just fly off the handles and do my own thing. You know what I mean? Because, every now and then that happens. Also, but the energy is what the energy is. And sometimes the impetus is just the impetus. the it's like a suggestion or it's a springboard. You know what I mean? Because the Nine of Pentacles is the only non-major in this trio. I'm gonna keep going. Give me a little more context on this final card. Because I feel like with Judgment at the bottom of the deck, because when it was the Tower and the Nine of Pentacles, I'm like, okay, so like, is that like I need to just worry and focus on myself and not, maybe, could be, right? Maybe instead of trying to do whatever, I just let things sort of stand as they are, right? And I just read the energy and I allow it to resonate for whoever, however it resonates, right? And if some keeper of Karnak energy comes out and somebody ain't got that they shadow in check and they take it to be as resonance and then they get blasted and get put into some kind of dark night shadow spiral, whatever, then hey, you know, who am I to be like, hey, if you know you're still working on some things, you might want to continue working on those things before you come up over here because this energy, as beautiful as it is, it does not read like it's for the faint of heart. It kind of reads like a bucking bronco. And if you ain't a rodeo star, you not only are you going to get bucked, you might also get trampled if you don't get up and out the ring quick enough. Maybe I should care less. My villain origin story, my true villain origin story. I'm kidding. Yeah, but when I saw Judgment at the bottom, I'm like, okay, well, the judgment isn't mine to make, and the judgment is never mine to make. And so, again, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm too concerned, right? Maybe I should just let it be what it is. I just be like, hey, I'll be good. 10 of Wands, 7 of Wands. It was the 7 of Wands with Moses. Strength. I don't know. Give me just a little bit more context. What were the cards we saw? The Standstill, the Hunter, and the Luminous Warrior. The Hunter is like, I feel like if you were to take the magnifying glass plus the bridge that was the book and the book that represented the book that the 7 of Air was holding, like that would be that Hunter energy. Sort of like seeing and identifying those almost weak spots and speaking to them, right? So we can like tighten up ship a little bit, tighten the screws, right? You don't want to launch something and then, I don't know, you got a cracked O-ring or a screw that was loose and it just like jiggles out of place and it's catastrophic. See something, say something. See it, say it sorted. Am I due for another trip to London? Tell Kirsty I'm coming home. I'm sorry. See it, say it sorted. It's fine. Okay. All right, I'm refocused. Can I get a little context or no? I feel like the answer is no. I'm gonna give it 2 more shuffles. Clean flip or clean fall. 1 more. Oh, no flip or fall. Bottom of the deck is death again. Hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Remember the site that we saw that came out? The world is under death, and the hermit is under the world, and the Lovers is under the Hermit, and the King of Pentacles is under the Lovers. Hey Google, flip a coin. What? Why are you doing that? You used to be so. Do I need to update Gemini? What is happening? Hey Google, flip a coin, please.
It's heads.
So the question I had, I feel like, would you call this? What would you call this? Dharma? Question mark? Is this some kind of like karmic dharma? Would it be karma? Is this karma? Is this dharma? It almost feels like unfinished business, but since I'm alive, I have the opportunity to finish it. I feel like purpose would be a little bit extreme. An opportunity, maybe. Like to see both the World and the Lovers is kind of crazy in this deck because of that. Like the in the World, it's like open, but in the Lovers, they're actually like touching. You know what I mean? Maybe this is an opportunity. Is this an opportunity for me? I feel like that's weird. I feel like if you knew me, it wouldn't be. I feel like this is like high key, my low key lifetime. You know what I mean? This was a lifetime where it's just like, I'm gonna do me. And all this other craziness, all this other foolishness, it ain't my job, it ain't my responsibility. We all got our own intuition and discernment. And besides that, what do I know about anybody else's path? Nothing. Because their path isn't mine. Maybe it just looks however it looks to me because it's not mine and it's not for me. Are these excuses? Or is it the truth? Again, I feel like even if you were here to chat with me, I just see a monkey with a purple monkey with a red cap and a hammer. And it's interesting that it's a purple monkey because I think pink monkey is the like Cliff Notes, Spark Notes website. Because I was talking a few weeks ago about not Easy A. It was about Easy A, Scarlet Letter. Scarlet Letter, The Grapes of Wrath, maybe something else. And I was like, yeah, like I just use like Purple Monkey or Pink Monkey. And the person I was talking to was like, what is that? And I was like, it was like Cliff Notes, but it was online. Right. I didn't read those books. I just used the Pink Monkey, Purple Monkey. So to see the Purple Monkey here with the something went wrong because I tried to do the easy way out. Instead of reading the book, I just read the cliff notes, the spark notes, and then I go into the test. And maybe that's the thing too. Because again, I can't see the chat, even if someone were there to try to answer these questions for me. Um, but maybe since the purple monkey is on the chat, it's like even if I could get other people's sort of like opinion, feedback, perspective, their vibe, and their feeling, it's like it would be like I have, like, I'm living my journey. And so I'm like keyed into the nuances of not only myself, but also of like the things that I'm like discerning, intuiting, the nudges that I feel, and the conversations and kind of sort of debates that I have within myself about like this whole like I don't feel like I owe anybody anything, but also at the same time I generally care about people. Um, anyway, 9/21/13. So on September 21st, 2013, what was happening? I don't know. 2013, 9/21/2013 would have been my junior year, right? Because freshman 11, 12. No, it would have been my sophomore year. 11, 12, 12, 13. So that would have been, yeah, August of 2013 would have been my sophomore year. The B. No. Yes. How does it work? 11, 12, 12, 13. The second semester of my sophomore year. What was happening the second semester of my sophomore year? Oh, it's fine. I mean, we're here this late, this long now. I might as well just take an extra second to try to think about it. Sophomore year, I was working at the front desk. So I was actually talking to people. Second semester of sophomore year may have been my Kimmy, because FYE is a year. So I would have been in Kimmy, freshman, freshman, sophomore, first semester of my sophomore year. Okay. Goodness, this is difficult. No. Yes. Why is this so hard? So August 2011, freshman one. January 2012, freshman two. August 2012, sophomore one. January 2013, sophomore two. August 2013, junior one. So this is the first semester of my junior year. No, why is this so hard for me? 11, 12, 12, 13, no, because the second 13 would be January. Hold up. August, January, August, January, August. So it is the second 2013. So it is the first semester of my junior year. I was right the first time. I don't know how I confused myself. Okay, the first semester of my junior year. And I was just thinking about junior year. I've been thinking about junior year because junior year was the year where everything in education changed. And maybe that's why I'm seeing the purple monkey again. The first 2 years was a lot of learning, it was a lot of textbook situations, and it was a lot of ideal conditions. And so, under ideal conditions, you can use simplified equations, and there's a whole bunch of assumptions that you make that simplify things. Junior year is when we had to take the information. It was like junior year was the year where we couldn't just assume that we were always working under ideal conditions, where we couldn't just use the ideal equation. Junior year was the year where we had to start either validating certain assumptions or using certain simplifying assumptions, right? So in the case of validation, if we are using a certain equation because, that's the whatever, I feel like ideal gas law is coming to my mind. But so you would validate, like, am I at the right pressure or temperature, or are these other conditions, like, do they satisfy the criteria for using, like, the ideal gas law? That's a case of validation. A case of, like, identifying those simplifying solutions is like when you're told something and then you go, okay, so if this is the case, then, like, I'm thinking about, like, adiabatic processes, and it's been a hot minute, but I think if something is adiabatic, then the pressure remains this isobaric. Adiabatic is adiabatic heat where there's no heat loss to the environment. I think that's actually adiabatic. It's been a minute, and I'm like 2 shots in. Give me a break. Isobaric is the same pressure. I'm pretty sure adiabatic means that it's insulated, so you don't lose any heat to the environment. I'm like 99.9% sure that's right. We're just going to continue with the assumption that it is. Right. So if you're told that, like, the system is well insulated or there's no heat loss to the environment, like, then it's an adiabatic process because it's adiabatic. There are certain equations that you use that are a lot easier. Junior year was that year where we began to learn to identify certain elements in the environment and to really clue into how the environment plays a role and impacts certain processes. Whereas, like, a lot of times before, you kind of just ignore it because when you're learning, it's easier. So maybe it's not always this or always that. Maybe there is an element of discernment. If I say something, if I see something, do I say something? Do I let it sort itself out? Maybe it's like, who and how do I want to be in this situation? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. The Nine of Pentacles and the Tower. So maybe that kind of plays on that whole, because earlier I was like, I feel like sometimes there are certain things that we're meant to go through, right? And so maybe it's like, okay, is this something that we're meant to go through because we're meant to go through it? Or is this something that we're meant to go through because I don't want to say anything and, like, ruffle any feathers? And within, for example, the career sector, I want to progress in my career, which means taking on more responsibility. And I feel like at a lot of levels I've been at now, I feel like there's been quite a bit of, like, that's not my job, that's not my responsibility. I'm nobody's manager or supervisor. And so I ain't gonna be all up under somebody, blah blah blah, whatever. It don't mean I'm not gonna say something if I see something, but it's not my responsibility. Right. And I feel like sometimes I kind of really lean into that, like, it's not my responsibility. And, maybe that's just a mindset to start to transition out of. It's not to be gung ho and start micromanaging people. It ain't even my job to manage in the first place. But it's to step outside of that mind frame of, like, well, it's not my responsibility, so I ain't going to say nothing. And I feel like in a professional sense and setting, while it's like if something gets to the point where it really affects things, I'm going to say something. You know what I mean? Even if I'm not somebody's like boss or manager, I'd be like, hey, like, you know, if we like if we're supposed to use 2 grams of something to get an accurate read, then like, let's do the 2 grams. I know for some things it may seem like it doesn't matter, but if the machine is constantly failing, and that's because we're putting in 1.5 grams, there's not enough material for, the thing to really do its thing. So, and then lo and behold, you put in that 2 grams and it succeeds every time. Type energy. That, like, of course I'm going to say something, but also it's not my job to enforce it. Maybe that's it. See it, say it, let it sort itself out. I'm not an enforcer of anything. Okay. I don't know. Anyway, I can't wait to not watch this back. Maybe I'll listen to it tomorrow. Actually, I need to go to bed. I got stuff to do tomorrow. Sorry. The card that came out is the Council. The card at the bottom of the deck is the Lower World. Under the Lower World is the moon. Under the moon is water. The moon affects the tides. Maybe that speaks to a certain emotionality. You could say that I've never necessarily noticed this before, but the Council is like guarding their heart. I mean, it could be one of those like, I feel so deeply types of hand over the heart, or it could be guarding, shielding it from the horrors of the lower world. But girl, if you don't open your eyes, it ain't gonna get no better. You know what I mean? And so maybe see it, say it, sort it. If you don't say nothing when you see something, then it's not realistic to expect for things to get better. So if you want to get better, sometimes you got to say something. Sometimes you got to speak up. Sometimes you got to be heard. And, ultimately at the end of the day, I would love for things to get better. And not just be like, you know what, I'm going to be good. Y'all can figure out all that stuff. Maybe that's what, I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, I am going to watch this back. All right. Oh, okay. That was immediate. Dreams of Gaia, like immediately flipped over. These cards are a little sticky. They're like that. Is this glossy? They're like this glossy sticky. So maybe when I was shuffling, they just went floop and flipped right over. These are glossy, as you can tell. There you go. They're glossy. See the sheen. Interesting. I know they're like right at the bottom. Proper at the bottom. Not her again. Her again? It's the Nine of Earth. Bottom of the deck is Desire, which is Capricorn. I was going to say it's interesting because we saw, I guess, both the Prince of Cups arrows and that Devil energy. I feel like they both spoke to desire in a way. I almost wish I was like taking notes as I was doing this. The cards that came out, the Nine of Earth again, lots of Nine of Pentacles energy. Nine of Earth, Ten of Air, and the Eight of Water. So there's no fire on the table. Fire is the only element that we're missing. But again, fire for me is North Node, Venus, and Chiron. This is all mutable too. 8, 9, 10. Well, 9, 10, 8. So that is the second decan of Virgo, the third decan of Gemini, and the first decan of Pisces. So I feel like it would have to be a Seven of Wands energy. And we did see the Seven of Wands in the Tarot Apocalypses. And I say Seven of Wands because, like, first decan, because these are all like seven. Seven comes before 8. 7, 8, 9, 10. 7, the missing element is fire. It could be a page of fire, though. Don't necessarily got to be the 7 anyway. These are the cards. The Nine of Earth, the 10 of Air, and the 8 of Water. Bottom of the deck is Desire. Under Desire is Intuition. You know what? Ooh. I don't know. Maybe I need to book a therapy session. I mean, and I talked about it earlier, right, with that standstill. And I also mentioned how I feel like the energy of like allow the world to be rewritten is coming up again. I was like, I had a few anime bingey days. I watched JJK Culling Game Part 1 and I finished My Hero Academia. I cried so much in that last like 20 to 25 episodes of My Hero Academia. So much. So much. I feel like there were times when like I wasn't even crying, the tears were just like falling. No effort, no whatever, just pow, pow, pow. And I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Because there are some of the cries that are like a cry. And then there are some of the ones where it's just like the tears just fall. Anyway, I feel like after I finished it, and maybe because of the nature of the show, how My Hero Academia ended, like it's one of those superhero shows where you have heroes and villains, and there are a few anime out right now. She's giving Demon Slayer, Jujutsu, no, not JJK, Kimetsu no Yaiba, right? I'm like, it's Demon Slayer. I never see Kimetsu no I can't even say it. Kimetsu no Yaiba. I know it, but I've never seen it. And there's a few shows. I feel like anime does it well. I feel like low key American media doesn't necessarily do it as much as some others. Like I feel like I've seen quite a few Bollywood movies, and it's not all of them, but I feel like a few of the Bollywood movies do a good job at like explaining the origins of the villain. And I would say humanizing the villain, but it's like in a way where you can understand why they became who they became, even if they've done things that are difficult to forgive. At the end of the day, none of while we do have uh, kind, forgiving hearts, because in order to be forgiven, sometimes we must forgive. But also at the same time, we ain't the end all be all. Uh, you know, but in that, I was like, I feel like I feel like if I had the choice of, and I don't have the say, but it was just that, like, I'm more interested in a different world experience than I am in making sure that everybody gets what's coming to them. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I feel like there are so many reasons why anybody could be any kind of way, that it's like if it's the opportunity for a clean slate and a better experience versus making sure everyone gets what's coming to them, I'm more so clean slate, better experience, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm more interested in future experiences than past whatever. And we all grow and change and evolve. We all have the opportunity to grow, change, and evolve. Doesn't necessarily mean we all choose to. All that to say, I don't know. Because again, off of that question of like, have I become jaded? I feel like less than jaded. It's just like there are certain things that I don't expect. Which might, I feel like I'm like getting somewhere. I feel like it's okay to not expect certain things, but I don't necessarily want that non expectation to interfere with the things that I do desire, right? To douse that flame. And it's interesting how in the lovers and in the world, we saw the person on the ground that was reaching up or that had his arms open, and then the angel lady, the lady with wings, or the lady in the sky. And that's kind of sort of these two. Here's this lady, and, you know, on the other side of this portal, and then there's the guy with his arms open. Interesting. Just some things for me to think about and consider. You know what I mean? And maybe it's more so about the tone than anything, to like curb my frustration or disbelief. And I know how often I say I'm not interested in, I feel like we do such a good job at coddling and appealing to our own fragile egos that sometimes it can feel like more of a hindrance, where it's almost like we're more likely to just keep going like, oh, like serial cheaters. Or it's like, oh, well, they'll forgive me, or oh, like they'll get over it, or oh, like, you know, they'll be mad for a little bit, but then they'll move on. And it's like, you know, that type of energy. Okay. Ooh, the man. The man with clothes on. And the bottom of the deck is the fox because they're looking in the same direction. Also, 14 plus 14 is 28. 14 times 2. Is this man the fox? He ain't got no shoes on. He ain't got no shoes on. She's giving kitsune. She's giving. What was that? Were they coyotes? It was a video of some dude. They were like some kind of trickstery type energies. Uh, some kind of coyote whatever's, and he was like, oh, did you read the newspaper? He was like, yeah, I know what's in a newspaper. And he was like, you're like one of those coyote spirits. And he was like, oh man, how did you know? And he was like, I'm a coyote spirit too. You know, just a heads up. Newspapers are whatever. Or is she giving like Fiona from Shrek? He's a fox, but he's also this dude, but he's toxic AF because the lilies. Beautiful, but toxic. Steer clear. I'm like, okay. Unless I can fix him. J to the mother effing K. JJK. No, we're not. No. Anyway, King and Queen of Spades, though, with the compass between the lilies and the rose. So maybe the compass between the lilies and the rose means or signifies. Is that 369? Literally 369. 30 is a 3, 42 is a 6, 9 is a 9. Something could go either way. And this could be me. My fox days are behind me. No, I'm just playing. I do got little whiskers though. I think it's time to trim the trickster whiskers. They just like stick out. Anyway. I feel like maybe this does speak to like a level of vulnerability. Maybe this is one of those like coming upon a significant life change. Like everything is going to be different. Again, junior year, first semester. It was like so difficult at first because we had gotten so comfortable with all of like these assumptions, assuming so many different things about the environment that we almost forgot or didn't necessarily key into and clue into like what it meant. Right. I guess just like when I was talking about what the lady said to me, like I knew that people weren't mind readers. But before she said that, it never occurred to me that maybe people don't know that like they're upsetting me unless I tell them that they're upsetting me. Maybe people just can't assume or key into what I'm like thinking and feeling at any given moment. Like I know that's like obvious AF, but it's actually kind of groundbreaking. Like what? Total game changer. And so there's a like basically there's a lot of ways that I've like learned to protect myself or to not get my hopes up or to like be at a remove, to be at a distance. And maybe that time is gone by. And the whole courtroom with the siren and the magician, it was like almost like these things that I couldn't ignore, things that sparked a kind of passion in me to like speak up and speak out about. And yes, there's like everything that comes with that, but just like in general, just like learning to communicate more and be more open and stuff like that, right? There's another side to that coin. And maybe that's why, I looked at, again, I'm still in the Venus Antardasha of my Rahu Mahadasha. If you knew, it would make so much sense. If you knew, it would make literally the most sense ever. And I'm just like halfway here, halfway somewhere else, halfway neither one of those places. But yeah. Wow. Interesting. Okay, read me. Faux fifth. But I'll take it. Like I said, I am navigating lots of changes that I didn't. Lots of changes is, I feel like, a big word. Just things that I didn't anticipate or expect, and it's almost like some things are so much of a pivot or departure for me. I have to like question if it's in integrity for me to pursue certain things, and it doesn't feel like it isn't, which has almost been confusing in and of itself. But I've not been overthinking it, or I've been trying to not overthink it, because so much of life and my journey has been so many things that I never expected, right? So wow. She's saying, like, why do I almost feel like it's like a pep talk, or like a, hey, so like, don't freak out. I can't say what's happening. Just know that, like, just, for the next few days, make sure you're on your best behavior, you know, be your better self. So the you that extends like grace and compassion to others, the you that is more like patient and nurturing, be that you, because you're going to be so glad you were. And also, if something ain't right, speak up on it, right? Because not everybody is necessarily looking for a yes man to just say yes to everything, or to just go along with everything, right? It's like a balance. I don't know. We'll see. I'll keep y'all updated. Like I said, y'all will be the last to know, but that means you're on there on the list to know eventually. you know, maybe I shouldn't say that. It's fine. Anyway, I hope you all have an amazing winter whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever and whoever you need along your path, journey, and way you find. And yeah, I'll keep y'all updated. I feel like usually I would approach this sentiment or this line of like thinking, and I would start to like freak out and be like, oh my gosh, what's going to be like, what's coming in, what's going to be required of me, like, is my life about to change drastically? Like, I want it, but also, am I ready? And I feel like within the past 7 to 14 days, I feel like it was one night I was just in here chilling. It was the day I didn't go live, and I just got this feeling of like, I'm ready to be enchanted by and with my life. And I'm just like, and I felt like when the feeling arose, it was just something that was so natural that it didn't even catch me off guard. Because sometimes I'd be like, whoa. But I don't know. There's a few things that have been unfolding in ways that I'm not aware of. But as they've been unfolding, it's like there's these little ripples, these micro ripples. And I'm like, okay. But also, I feel like things are aligning in bigger ways, or things are aligning in more obvious ways. And I'm preparing in ways that I haven't necessarily before. Because it feels like there's a timeliness to something big happening, right? I've been still for like 2 years now. And I feel like there have been times within this where I'm like, oh, I feel like something's going to happen. And to be honest, I would have like a major experience that would be like something that I wasn't even remotely open to or remotely cognizant of. And with all of the changes that are happening, I wouldn't have been in a position, like, I wouldn't have been ready for it at the start of this pause. Right. So, anyway, yeah, maybe I won't be the last to know. Who knows? I'll have to find some kind of way to be cryptic. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I feel like, I don't know. Stay tuned and find out, as I will be doing. Um, yeah, that's it. Right? All the decks are put away just for funsies. Ugh. I want one of these and one of these. Oh, there's the energy oracle cards too. I'm not gonna push it. And maybe I won't even shuffle. Maybe I'll just pull. Yeah, I'm just gonna pull. How about that? I'm not even gonna shuffle the deck. We're just gonna pull. I really want to pull this one. I'm gonna pull it. Interesting. The Dragon of Space and the element of, let's pull this one. Breath, which is number 27. Number 27 was one of those cards that we saw in the mystical shaman oracle cards. What was 27? It was on the left, the hunter. And also, I feel like the Tarot Apocalypses mentioned breath, didn't it? Breath in space. Oh, wow. Okay, breath in space. I've referenced it a few times. There was a reading that we did, and there was like space was a threshold, and it was through the story of that audiobook series where as people become more powerful, they become more and more magical. Their bodies become more and more magical and less biological. So after a certain point, they don't need hearts and lungs and brains. And because their bodies are sufficiently magical that they don't have hearts and lungs and brains anymore, they don't need to breathe. Now, they still do it out of habit because, you know, they've been alive for some time and they weren't always this magical being. And it's like a reflex that they train themselves out of, right? And so it was that, like, you know, the environment itself is like space. And so, like, the environment is a blockage itself. And so to have space and breath, especially coming off the back of my reaction to what I feel sort of shifting and changing, being a lot different now than what it was a few years ago. And how it's just kind of sort of time to transition out of certain things and to not allow whatever. It's like, you know, through the space of that metaphor, my body is sufficiently, it's gone through enough transformation that um I metaphorically can breathe in space. I can go through, and I've been seeing like the giant thorny portal a lot, not always in a personal sort of way capacity, but yeah. And so again, with this like freshman or the first semester of junior year energy, um, of like unlearning certain things, it could be maybe the past little bit too has been um, sort of this period of like retraining the body, right? So that unlearning literally the thing that I just said, reflexes, right? It's become habitual. And so there's training involved too, so that, you know, the body doesn't freak out at these like phantom organs and appendages that it no longer has. It's like you don't have lungs, you don't need to breathe anymore. You have a internal body soul matrix that, like, you know, keeps your body functioning. Now, in that series, it's a body soul matrix. But the card that came out in the Dreams of Gaia Tarot was body and mind. But just like with the magician and the Herath and the magician and the siren, it's not, it's like the soul is already there. Also in the 70/20, the soul is already there. And so it's the mind that needs to catch up. And the body will shift and change too. Because again, going back to the wind and the curse that flanked the beloved, with that whole like certain things that sort of need to be said and heard, because even if they're just felt or thought, that speaking and hearing does that vibratory thing that gets the water to do whatever. So, you know, it also aids in the transition. So maybe there are more and more things I need to speak to. Wow. Okay. That was actually sort of nice. Nice little callback, nice little confirmation, a nice little, yeah. Just know that, you know, in the void of space, you're not going to find any oxygen. And you don't need to breathe anymore. So remember that and try your best not to freak out. Right? Anyway, cool. There's a cute little throwback for you. Or for me, I guess. A little confirmation for me. And yeah. I'm trying to think. I guess. Is it Uranus? I feel like I am experiencing some kind of transit somewhere. I don't remember what. It's one that I've kind of been waiting for. All right, I'll catch y'all later. Bye. one more time, I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and way you find. And until next time, I'm gonna look into that mirror. But now I'm like, should I just do the mirror spread offline? Does it need to be broadcast? Hey Google, flip a coin. Hey Google, flip a coin, please.
It's heads.
Heads up. Google said, yeah, broadcast that. So, yeah, I'm gonna look into the spread. I wanted to check because I saw the video pop up. I wanted to check and see if he like posted it in the community posts. I mean, I can always ask him. Um, yeah, all right. I guess stay tuned for that or whatever comes next or don't. It's your life. Dum, 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 dum.